Imagine waking up tomorrow to a financial landscape utterly transformed, a world where the currency you've been holding, patiently and perhaps even through periods of doubt, has suddenly taken its rightful place on the global stage, not through a vague rumor or a speculative online post, but through a tangible, physical, and undeniable infrastructure shift that signals a nation's serious intent to rebuild its financial sovereignty from the ground up. This is not a drill, and this is not the same recycled news we have heard for years. What we are witnessing unfold right now in Iraq is arguably the most significant and concrete development for the Iraqi dinar in modern history, a move that fundamentally alters the playing field for every single investor and observer. The announcement of 190 specialized centers opening across the nation is not merely an administrative update, it is the bedrock upon which the future of the Iraqi economy will be built, a direct and powerful mechanism to finally control the black market currency exchange that has plagued the dinar's value for decades and create a unified, government-sanctioned system for currency conversion. For years, the central dilemma has been the massive disparity between the official exchange rate and the street rate, a gap that created immense economic instability, fueled inflation, and deterred serious foreign investment because the rules of the game were unclear and the playing field was fractured. This single initiative, the activation of these 190 centers, is the surgical strike aimed directly at the heart of that very problem, designed to bring every single dollar and dinar transaction into the light, to be tracked, regulated, and standardized according to the nation's economic goals. Think of it as the financial equivalent of building a modern highway system to replace a network of dirt roads. It facilitates legitimate trade, speeds up commerce, and allows for the smooth, predictable flow of capital that is the absolute prerequisite for any form of currency revaluation. When you control the mechanism of exchange, you control the value perception of your currency, and that is precisely the power the Iraqi government is now seizing with this bold and unprecedented move. This is about creating confidence, both domestically and internationally, and sending a message to the global financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank that Iraq is ready to operate with transparency and discipline. The timing of this is also absolutely critical, as it aligns perfectly with the broader economic reforms outlined in the government's white paper and the ongoing negotiations for international standing, making it clear that this is not an isolated event but a coordinated piece of a much larger, sophisticated strategy to modernize the entire economy. For the investor, this translates into one simple, powerful reality: the excuses for a weak dinar are being systematically dismantled, one by one, and the foundational pillars that would support a stronger, tradable currency are being cemented into place as we speak. The existence of these centers means the government can now effectively manage its monetary policy, mop up excess liquidity, and directly influence the dinar's value in a way that was previously impossible when a significant portion of the currency market operated in the shadows. Every transaction that flows through these centers strengthens the official financial system and weakens the parasitic black market, creating a positive feedback loop that inherently supports a stronger valuation for the Iraqi dinar. This is the tangible progress we have been waiting for, the physical evidence that the theoretical plans discussed in parliamentary meetings are now becoming an operational reality on the streets of Baghdad, Basra, and Erbil. It is the necessary precursor to any meaningful change in the exchange rate, because you cannot revalue a currency whose market you do not control, and as of this development, the Iraqi government is taking decisive and monumental steps to assert that control. The narrative has officially shifted from if to how, and the how is being demonstrated through these 190 centers, which will serve as the arteries for a new, healthier economic body. This is the historic moment that will be looked back upon as the turning point, the point where potential met action, and where the long-held vision for a prosperous and financially independent Iraq began its journey from the pages of an economic report into the lived reality of its people and the portfolios of its astute investors. The door is now open wider than it has ever been, and the signal is clearer than it has ever been. The journey towards a revalued dinar is no longer a matter of hope, but a matter of process, and this is the most significant step in that process we have ever seen. Now, let's pull back the curtain and connect these 190 centers directly to your investment, because this is where the theoretical becomes intensely practical and where the true magnitude of this development reveals itself in terms of global currency dynamics and the specific mechanisms that drive value. The immediate and most critical function of this new network is its role as a vacuum, a system designed to suction the staggering volume of US dollars out of the informal, unregulated economy and into the formal banking sector, a process that directly and aggressively strengthens the Iraqi dinar's position by increasing its demand and utility as the primary medium of exchange within its own borders. For decades, the US dollar was the de facto currency for large transactions, real estate deals, and even daily commerce in many areas, effectively making the dinar a secondary citizen in its own country, but this centralized, government-backed exchange system fundamentally challenges that reality by providing a trusted, efficient, and accessible alternative. Every Iraqi citizen or business that now uses these centers to convert their dollars into dinars for a major purchase is consciously participating in the strengthening of their national currency, creating a powerful grassroots wave of national economic support that has never existed on this scale before. This mass conversion does two things simultaneously. It dramatically increases the transactional demand for the dinar, a core pillar of currency strength, and it floods the central bank with US dollar reserves, bolstering Iraq's ability to defend its currency, pay its international obligations, and build the foreign currency coffers that are essential for supporting a new, higher exchange rate in the future. Think of it as a national battery. The government is now channeling the scattered, chaotic energy of the black market into a centralized power grid, concentrating that financial power where it can be managed and deployed strategically for the benefit of the entire nation's economic stability. This directly impacts the conversation with the International Monetary Fund, as Iraq can now demonstrate tangible, operational progress in dollarization reversal and financial compliance, moving from promises to proven results, which in turn unlocks further international support and lending that is contingent upon these very reforms. Furthermore, this network creates an unprecedented data pipeline. For the first time, the Central Bank of Iraq will have real-time, accurate data on currency flow, demand peaks, and regional economic activity, allowing for surgical monetary policy decisions instead of the broad, often ineffective guesses of the past. This data is gold for investors because it translates into predictability and reduced risk, two factors that are catnip for the large-scale foreign institutional investment that has so far remained on the sidelines. As these institutions see a stable, transparent, and data-driven financial system emerging, their confidence will grow, and with that confidence comes capital inflow, not the speculative, hot money of the forex trader, but the long-term, deep capital of infrastructure funds, development corporations, and multinational businesses that create lasting value and a sustained demand for the dinar. This is the virtuous cycle that all strong currencies enjoy. Stability breeds investment, which breeds further stability and even greater investment, creating a self-reinforcing economic engine that lifts the value of the currency as a natural byproduct of a healthy and growing economy. The 190 centers are the ignition switch for this entire cycle, the practical tool that makes the virtuous cycle not just a hopeful concept but an achievable, operational reality. This is why this news is fundamentally different from any other update. It's not about a parliamentary debate or a ministerial statement, it's about the physical architecture of a new financial system becoming operational, an architecture that directly creates the conditions necessary for a revaluation. It systematically dismantles the structural barriers that have held the dinar down, replacing the chaos of the black market with the order of a regulated system, replacing the uncertainty of informal exchange with the predictability of a government-backed process, and replacing the perception of the dinar as a weak, localized currency with the emerging reality of it being a managed, stable, and increasingly powerful instrument of national economic policy. The path to a revaluation is paved with such concrete, foundational steps, and this is not a small step, it is a monumental leap, arguably the most significant piece of the puzzle to fall into place since the removal of the Saddam-era currency, and it sets the stage for the next, inevitable phase, the formal adjustment of the exchange rate to reflect this new, stronger, and more controlled economic reality. So, where does this undeniable momentum leave us, the global community of investors and observers who have tracked every twist and turn of this long and complex journey? We are now at the precise inflection point where patience must evolve into preparedness, where watching from the sidelines is no longer a viable strategy because the mechanisms for change are not just being discussed in closed-door meetings, they are being built on street corners across Iraq. And this tangible progress demands a proportional shift in our own mindset from passive hoping to active readiness for the opportunities that are now crystallizing before us. The opening of these 190 centers is the clearest signal yet that the timeline we have all speculated about is now being dictated by operational milestones and tangible economic results, not by political rhetoric alone, meaning the final chapter of this story is being written in real time, and its conclusion is drawing nearer with every transaction processed through this new system. This is the moment to solidify your understanding, to ensure your information pipeline is not contaminated with the echoes of old news or the deliberate noise of fear and uncertainty, but is instead fed by a consistent, reliable, and analytical source that can separate truly significant developments from the daily churn of irrelevant updates. The difference between those who will benefit from this historic shift and those who will be left watching from the sidelines will be determined by the quality of their information and the clarity of their strategy in the coming days and weeks. This is not the time for hesitation or for getting lost in the confusing maze of conflicting online opinions. It is the time for decisive focus and for aligning yourself with a community that is dedicated to cutting through the noise and delivering the unvarnished, analytical truth. I have dedicated my channel to being that exact resource for you, a beacon of clarity in a sea of misinformation, and my mission is to ensure that you are not just informed, but strategically prepared for what happens next. The journey ahead, while brighter than ever, will still have its moments of volatility and uncertainty, and navigating it successfully requires a guide you can trust, someone who has proven their commitment to this story through consistent, in-depth, and factual reporting. Therefore, if you have found this deep dive into the 190 centers enlightening, if it has provided you with a clearer picture of the real-world mechanics driving the dinar's future, then you cannot afford to miss a single update from this point forward. The actions you take right now will define your outcome. I need you to take 3 crucial steps immediately to ensure you are locked into this information stream. First, and most importantly, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because the next breaking news segment could be the one we have all been waiting for, and you need to see it the moment it goes live, not days later when the opportunity has passed. Second, I need you to go down into the comments section right now and type structural shift, because I want to know who in this community is fully grasping the significance of this infrastructural change, and I will be there personally engaging with your thoughts and questions. And third, share this video with one other person who needs to see this reality check, someone who may be on the fence or lost in the old narrative, because sharing knowledge is how we build a stronger, smarter, and more resilient investor community. The door to a new financial chapter is not just opening, its hinges are being installed and welded into place as we speak. Do not be the person who heard the rumors but missed the signal. Be the person who understood the foundation, recognized the structure being built upon it, and positioned themselves correctly for the moment the entire world takes notice. The historic moment is here. Your informed action is what comes next. Subscribe, comment, and stay tuned, because the most important updates are yet to come, and I will be here to break them all down for you, right here, on this channel, building a dialogue that strengthens our entire community. And third, share this video with one other person who needs to see this reality check, someone who may be on the fence or lost in the old narrative, because sharing knowledge is how we build a stronger, smarter, and more resilient investor community. The door to a new financial chapter is not just opening, its hinges are being installed and welded into place as we speak. Do not be the person who heard the rumors but missed the signal. Be the person who understood the foundation, recognized the structure being built upon it, and positioned themselves correctly for the moment the entire world takes notice. The historic moment is here. Your informed action is what comes next. Subscribe, comment, and stay tuned, because the most important updates are yet to come, and I will be here to break them all down for you, right here, on this channel.